Hello beauties, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. If you're new here, then my name is Mariah, also known as Live Life Beauty, and I'm so glad that you have found me. And if you're a returning subscriber, then thank you so much for joining me on another video. I'm so excited to have you here. So today's video, we are going to be creating my daughter's cake topper. We are in hustle mode, guys. I believe it's like 5 days until the big day, and I have done nothing. I have brought her no presents, I have got her no decorations, I have done nothing. So we are in full party hustle mode. If you are new here, then I'm currently in the process of setting up a small party craft business. What my business will mainly consist of making is cake toppers, cupcake toppers, and party favor bags and items such like that. So any special occasions that you have, you need to create decor for that. I'm kind of still undecided what like genre my business goes under, because when you say party decor, people automatically think of like balloons and decorating the party. But mine's more like the party favors that like you would give to your guests, like gift boxes, party bags, personalized plates, cups, things like that nature, along with the cake toppers. So I don't really know what it categorizes as, but anyway guys, I'm going to be talking you through basically how I've designed this cake topper. So this is a design that I'm just making for my daughter's birthday, because when you have your own business, it is basically frowned upon to use designs that don't have copyright authorization. Does that make sense? So like Disney princesses, Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, all of them stuff, whilst you can make it, it is at your own discretion, because if they find out, then you can lose your business. You can get sued basically. So the images that I have used for this cake topper have been off Google, and have been things that I've downloaded from Canva. Now, I'm not sure about Canva. I don't know if you can like use their designs and sell it, but I know like, you know, it's all at your own discretion and what you feel comfortable with. But my daughter is really big into unicorns, and I just thought that this was a fun design for her. I haven't figured out what software to use so that you can like share the screen that you're actually working on, so do forgive me. It is just my phone set up as best as I could to show you this process. So this is the design that I made for my daughter's goodie bags to bring into school, and I'm just going to use the same unicorn to create her cake topper. But with this unicorn, I'm going to remove all of the background of it, so all of the stars around it, because I don't want that when I'm making her cake topper, because this will be 3D. So if you haven't made a cake topper before, it's all about layers, and we want to create, you know, the best 3D layer effect that we can. So I'm basically going to be making this unicorn transparent, and you can only do that in Canva Pro. So unless you have a different software that you are able to use, then you can go ahead and do it in that. But my best bet is always Canva Pro. So I'm going to download that, and I'm going to make sure that it has a transparent background, because when we bring it into Cricut Design Space, which is where I create it, it is going to be a print and cut, and it's going to only cut around the unicorn, because I've made it essentially an SVG file, but it's not, it's still just an image. So in Canva, I am going to open up my unicorn. I'm literally going along with the video, because I don't know what I did off the top of my head. So I'm just importing that into Canva. I'm just putting it as a flat image. And I do believe that I also, after this, go onto Google and find a unicorn shape, because I didn't just want it to be like a unicorn. I wanted it to be a unicorn head as the background, and then this unicorn inside the unicorn head. So to size it down, you can always just drag it along and resize it, but I always just set the height to a small number, like 10 centimeters. So I did find a unicorn head, but I didn't like that one. So I'm going back in now. And when I'm looking for a unicorn head, I just want an outline of a unicorn. Nothing too complicated, because it's literally just the outline. So that one looked okay, but the bottom of it was cut off. So I went again on my search mission. I don't know why my voice is not cooperating. And then you'll see the one that I landed on. So I didn't love this one, but it was good because it led me to the one underneath it, which I did end up loving. So I'm essentially doing the same thing that I did with the other unicorn. I'm basically saving it onto my files, and then I'm going into Canva using the Canva Pro to make it a transparent image. Now with this one, it did have some lines on the image and it did have a watermark, so I'm just erasing them off the image before I save it as a transparent background. Then I'm going to upload it into Canva, and you can always tell that it is correct because it will have the cross markings behind it, and that's how you know that the image will be transparent and that it will cut just the outline of that image. So with this one, it will cut the outside and it will cut the inside, so just leaving the outside of the unicorn. So I did flip it because I wanted the horn to be the same way as the horn on the little unicorn. And then I'm planning my sizes. Now obviously you can make anything any size you want. I always duplicate the original image before I mess around with it in case I make mistakes. Then I can just delete what I have been making the mistake on and start again in a fresh way. So that is something that I do. So with this, it's all about layers. You need like a back, you need a top, you need the transparent film, and then you have everything that's going on top of the actual cake topper. So it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to explain it the best way that I can. So I first needed to know the size that I wanted to make the unicorn overall. Then once I did that, I turned it from a print and cut, because that is what it imported in as, to a basic cut. Then once it was a basic cut, I then could contour it where I could fill in that unicorn, and that is the grey part. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating an outline, but I'm making the outline thicker, because if you see the original line, it's extremely thin. So now I have a lot of just like outlines on my canvas, so I'm going to kind of break it up. Now one thing with the outlines is that it needs to be thick enough to cover my foam tape, because when I make my when I make my cake toppers, I do use foam tape. There is another way that you can add that height, which is just by cutting multiple layers and stacking them one on top of another. But for me, I just use the foam tape and I go around the edge. So I have to make sure that the outline is thick enough to cover the foam tape. But I never know how thick to make it until I actually start assembling. So spoiler alert, I didn't make it thick enough, and in the end I did have to go back when assembling and make these lines thicker. So that's just something to know. I kind of need to have a set outline and write it down so that I don't have to go through this process all the time. But I essentially wanted to have an outline to cover the foam tape, and then another outline over that as like a decorative piece of the unicorn. So for me, I always have set colours in what I want the cake topper to look like, just so I can kind of visualize it. But then I did remember that I am showing you a video, so I don't really need to worry too much about the colors and making it perfect. I just need to kind of show you guys what I'm doing. So I always use the blue as the transparent acetate sheet. So the blue always represents my acetate, which is going to encapsulate the shaker section. So I basically put the outline over that, which would be to cover the foam tape, and then I put another one on top of that, which would be the decorative outline. However, I do believe that I make this a bit thicker just so that it is more prominent, because I knew that that one would be a bit too thin. So I'm basically gonna put them all together and make sure that everything is aligned, because you want it all to be aligned. And then I'm gonna start working on the top of the unicorn shaker cake topper. So I have to make sure that all of these elements are on the top of the unicorn head, and it's okay if some things are coming off of it, because it's ultimately going to be like a 3D effect, and you will see that when it is made. when it is all made. So I'm going to just play around. I'm going to put the name, I'm going to put the age. I was thinking about putting like a little quote on it and stuff, but I decided nah, just keep it simple and keep it fun. So I'm just basically playing around with how I want everything, and you can just use your own like design initiative here, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm using some things from Canva. I only use the free thing, not Canva, from Cricut. I do use the free stuff because I don't have the Cricut membership. But if you are creating things for personal use, you can always just go on the internet, use anything that's on the internet. And again, once you know how to use Cricut Design Space, you can fill in stuff. So the balloon had like a shadow part. I didn't want that, I just wanted a regular balloon, so I filled that in. And then I'm going to put the number 7 on top of it, and I'm going to play around with the text. Now the text that I did end up using, I did download from Creative Fabrica, so it is not a system font. It is something that I have downloaded and imported into this software. It is so easy to do, guys. I am not tech savvy at all. Obviously, I'm learning day by day, but very slowly. And obviously it just allows me to play around with everything. So there's not really much to talk about for the rest of it, guys. I'm just going to let you see. I don't think I go too back and forward with the colours, because I do believe that I cut that out. But I will come back when we are on the other bit of the unicorn design. So now that I have everything how I like it, and this is ultimately what the design is going to look like, now I can start duplicating my layers, because like I said, I want this to be 3D, and for me I find that 3 layers is enough to get it prominent how I like it. So you can either do 3 of the same size and then just use your foam dots to add that height, or you can vary the size by offsetting it, so it can kind of go, you know, a big 7, then it's a bit smaller shadowed, and then it's a bit smaller shadowed. But however you like to do it, that's fine. You can play around with it, see which one you like best. I personally like the name to be a different font, and then that goes onto a different background, and then that is duplicated so that it's prominent, which you'll see in the end of how the cake topper actually turns out looking. But yeah, 3 is usually my magic number of how I like it to stand out. So now that I have everything in the size that I want, it's really important that you make sure this is the size of the cake topper that you want. Otherwise you're going to have to go back, delete everything, and then duplicate everything again. So please do check that. Then you can start duplicating. Now I think I'm playing around with like colours here because I wanted to match them as closely as I could, and then again, I realized to myself, Mariah, you don't have to duplicate, you don't have to play around with the colors so much right now, because you are just showing it for video purposes, even though this was the actual cake topper. So you can see that I liked this background. Now that is going to be the background that my glitter is going to be on. I downloaded that image from Google, and then I basically added it to the canvas, and I cut it out into that unicorn shape, which is what I'm going to show you now. Because before, when I just added it in and I did a pattern, like this is how it was coming up. It was coming up as like squares, but I just wanted it to be like the whole pattern, and I was like, why is it not allowing me to just cut it out as a pattern? Like, I don't understand. So what I ended up doing was saving the image, then I uploaded the image as a wallpaper. Then I basically got the shape of the unicorn. I put the unicorn behind the paper or in front of the paper, whichever section you wanted. Then I sliced it. So ultimately I sliced out the unicorn head. So that is how I managed to do it. And if you look at the side, you can see that it is coming up red, because this is now a print and cut, and it's telling me that this is too big to have it as a print and cut, because it will not allow me to have the registration marks. So that is another thing that you have to consider. So again, I did have to downsize this whole design so that I could print and cut that file. But that is pretty much it, guys. This is what the finished cake topper ended up looking like. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I really hope that it helped somebody who just wants to create some things for their child's birthday and doesn't really know where to go. It's not a fully fledged tutorial, but it was the best that I could put out with the knowledge that I have for computer softwaring. So thank you so much for joining me in today's video. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. Do not forget to live life's beauty, because life is beautiful and it's out there waiting to be lived by you. And hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye.